I am the terror that flaps in the night. I am the bad reviewer that gets angry and causes no fright. I am a fan of Darkwing Duck. This is me, the angry anime fan, the despair reviewer, with a very late episode of Ducktales. Woohoo! 16 of the second season, which actually drops a very surprising and nice situation of it all. We all know that Darkwing Duck existed in this universe, but this time it was a show within a show. Well, things got a little bit interesting here. Really shows that the DuckTales writers are actually very good when it comes to writing material. So what happens? Well, in this episode, which mostly stars Dewey, Launchpad, and Scrooge, they get the line where Jim Sterling, the former Darkwing Duck actor, is signing autograph, but Jim Sterling is revealed to be a very obnoxious person. And Launchpad has never got an autograph for him because he only faints. Then they hear a rumor that there's going to be a movie that is based on Darkwing Duck, only it's going to be grittier and darker. The one who is actually directing that is a director that actually is voiced by Edgar Wright, and it's an obvious parody of Christopher Nolan. Christopher Nolan was very well known for making his movies a little bit darker theme of comic books, but they also mentioned that it was all about the effects and the darker tone, that it was also betraying the source material. At least that's what a lot of people said later on. So this is an obvious parody of that, and not to mention that Edgar Wright is actually a very famous director himself. So yeah. Jim Sterling, of course, doesn't take this well, especially when he hears that he is not gonna play Darkwing Duck. The one who's playing that is an unknown young actor who, while Launchpad tries to sabotage on Jim Sterling's orders, actually befriends the young actor when it's revealed that he is just like Launchpad, got an inspiration by Jim Sterling's Darkwing Duck. And no matter how much he was beaten down, he always stood up back up again, which is exactly what this young actor has done. But Jim Sterling's sanity begins to slip as things get wrong. In fact, shows a little familiar to one thing, and to the point where he actually endangered the entire movie set, when then the young actor in his own Darkwing suit tries to stop Jim Sterling. And the moment Jim Sterling also has a realization, especially when the actor says that Launchpad, who tries to say that you are Darkwing Duck, you are standing for what is right, realizes that Launchpad is his biggest fan. An electric incident with big machines happened that, crashes down and seemingly kills Jim Sterling. And the movie is cancelled, especially when Dewey has replaced all the material with him doing bad dancing. Because it turns out that, he was pretty upset with Scrooge having a movie studio, but Scrooge never told him because he knew this was just what was going to happen. Yeah, that's very smart indeed. Also, is note that the security guard stops Jim Sterling in this episode. Apparently, that person is actually voiced by the same guy who created the Darkwing Duck series, surprisingly. So the young actor's big break is broken, but Launchpad with some encouragement says that you are Darkwing Duck now. Therefore he doesn't say that. He says that what Darkwing Duck always do, get up. And the young actor shows some small amount of ego that sounds very familiar. And then Launchpad says, you have already one fan. And so the young actor types in his name. And what is his name? Drake Mallard. Yeah, the young actor, the one who was supposed to play the new version of Darkwing Duck, is Drake Mallard. He exists in the real world. But wait, the surprises do not end there. Jim Sterling is revealed to have survived. But the electrocution, coupled with the fact that he believes that Drake Mallard put his fan in danger when it was obvious his fault, the fact that no one is really appreciating him, makes him completely snap as he says the famous line, "They want tall and gritty, huh? Happy to play the part." As Jim Sterling steps out of the shadow, his Darkwing Duck suit has turned completely yellow with crazy eyes. Yes, Jim Sterling is this universe's Negaduck. Now, isn't that surprising? A very enjoyable episode, with canon characters all along and some nice, very neat trick here. Yeah, and it's also worth noting that Drake Mallard in this episode is voiced by Chris Diamantopoulos, who also not only voices Storkleys, but it's also voiced Mickey Mouse in the current shorts. And he does an incredibly good impersonation of Drake Mallard when he was played by Jim Cummings, because Jim Sterling is played by Jim Cummings here, and he also did play Negaduck because he was Darkwing's evil twin, or evil doppelganger, whatever. So yeah, my situation of it all. The Dewey scenes was also funny. The Edgar Wright actor, well, yeah, that is obvious a point of that Chris Nolan can definitely direct movies, but he's also a little bit too ambitious with taking them his own way. Regardless, enjoyable episode, but you can give me your thoughts if you have any.